A man may confide in a friend, a god only in his genius. The common folk have a saying, "After I die, let the world go up in flames." I say, let me behold the spectacle while yet I breathe. Beautiful, she burns. Look there, the temple of Vesta is cut off by the dancing, licking tongues of flame. Look there, the temple of Vesta is cut off by the dancing, licking tongues of fire. That will teach the Virgin what fire's about. And there, the Pantheon. One might have thought that the ancient gods of Rome would bestir themselves in the defence of their shrines and fanes. There, on the Capitoline Hill, senators deport themselves like a clucking brood of mindless chickens. In this case, appearances do not deceive. 817 years after the founding of the city named after Romulus, the wolf suckled a son of Mars. Rome, I behold thy end. Unto thy lamentable passing do I compose sweet elegies. My little flame has set the world ablaze. O Rome, where is thy glory now? Aye, perhaps this is thy greatest hour. Ilium, 'tis of thee I sing. Strange paradox. Ilium burns, yet Ilium is eternal, immaterial, a spirit like the goddess of the moon, as she appears in three phases. First, she is the maiden, coy and modest. Second, the enticing nymph. And third, the haggard crone, Hecate the witch. Twang! Ilium ascends from splendour to splendour. Burn her, and she rises from the very flames that would consume. Troy has perished, Rome perishes, and like the desert bird named Phoenix, shall Neropolis arise from Rome's grey ash. The stones of Neropolis shall ne'er be of the burning kind. When Rome's tortuous back alleys are no more, the broad and graceful highways of the third and last Ilium shall bear witness to the Aeneas that conceived them. Now is the month named after the divine Julius. No rebuilding shall take place until spring next year, when another innovation shall take place. I'll abolish April. July for Julius, August for Augustus, and Neronius for the greatest and cleverest of them all. 'Tis the flames inspire me with these thoughts. My flames, the physical expression of a mind ablaze, the last and cleverest of them all. Me, Nero Claudius Caesar. Me, me, Nero Claudius Caesar. You know all those nasty stories they tell about me. All true. If anything, they err on the side of understatement. To the moralist I say, there are things in your life, foul imaginings in your mind that you wouldn't want the neighbours to know about, as there are things in their lives that they wouldn't want you to know about. At least I'm honest about my depravities. Nero, singer, actor, opera star, and God, matricide. Matricide. Oh yes, Earlier, when I recited this list, I used to insert matricide somewhere at the beginning between, say, singer and opera star. If I mumbled the words in a half-tone, perhaps it wouldn't jar in the listener's ears. And now I give the word the prominence it deserves. You know, the lampoons they scribble on lavatory walls or scratch on the stones of the Cloaca Maxima. Write Nero in Greek, then count the numeric values in the letters in the name of the man of sin. Their sum is the same as that of the letters in he done his mama in. Mama, why did you make me go and do it? You had it in for me from the very start, Mama. You made me feel how small I was as a baby, and when I was a grown man, Caesar and a god no less, you still made me feel the same that I felt as a child, how I was a messy little puppy dog. You know the old taunt. Nero rules Rome, but who rules Nero? I had to put personal feelings aside and do my duty. My duty as defender of the state. Ah, poppycock. Feelings. Duty. Reminds one of the divine Augustus' his incredible hypocrisy. He sent more souls to Hades on a Sunday afternoon than I in all my time as emperor. Yet no one calls him a ravenous beast or demon. When I act, I wear an actor's robes and strut around the stage. And when I exercise political power, I exercise political power. I know the reason. You can't rehabilitate a man who's killed his mother. Strange feeling. A matricide is a walking contradiction. He has destroyed the roots of the self-same tree of which he is a branch. Even the earth on which I walk seems to give way beneath my feet. Again, Mother Earth, you see. That's why my element is fire. That element stolen from its home in the sky, the which, when free to spread whither it will, destroys all before it on the face of the earth. How's my fire doing, by the way? Coming on nicely, I see. No, I was never destined to be a human being in anything but outer form. The man who traded in amber in the far north once told me of a tribe whose name for dog, if written down and reflected in a looking-glass, made the letters of their word meaning God appear. For me this was significant. We are constantly being told that the higher nature of man tends heavenwards, his lower to the bestial. What beast is more human than the dog? The ape may look more like a man, but between men and dogs a strange kind of affinity exists. Thus, if a man no longer feels at home among other men, his refuge and fortress will be found in those regions that border the human realm. On the one side, the low, wide plain where beasts roam, or on the other, where high mountains touch the abode of the gods. If such an exile or outcast makes forays into the human realm, it can only be as a ravenous beast seeking whom it may devour, or as a vengeful and implacable god. Agrippina did more than just call me a dirty little puppy dog. She acted on that assumption. In my childhood, I was incontinent. Every time she found a puddle, she'd grab me by the scruff of the neck and rub my nose in my own water, saying, "There, that comes from being a dirty little puppy dog." And I thought to myself, so okay, then I'm a dirty little puppy dog. But what does that make you, mamma? Faustulus, our neighbour, had a watchdog. No puppy he, but a fierce and fearful beast. Carne Cavum was written over the entrance of Faustulus's villa. An understatement, if ever there was one. The beast knew 3 words of command. Catch! Hold! Dispatch! No poor blighter ever stood a chance. Faustulus had a very wry sense of humour, calling him Cerberus. That dog was a friend to me, the only true friend I ever had. Every time I had been ill-used or humiliated, I could always go over to Cerberus for comfort. On seeing me, he would always wag his tail, romp over and lick me on the hand and neck. One day they found him dead, poisoned by a felon. It was the only time I ever truly mourned. And then I said to myself, when I'm big, I'm going to carry on from where Cerberus left off. And you, Agrippina, won't be in a position to start complaining. Who turned me into a puppy dog in the first place? At one time I was subject to maudlin thoughts. Would I have turned out to be a different kind of person if I'd had a loving mother? Perhaps I would have become a nice guy, like that milksop Britannicus. Funny, when I killed him, I also destroyed some part of me that hankered after something vaguely human. Hey, that doesn't fit. Britannicus had Messalina for a mother. Can it all be explained in terms of childhood influences? Nero the god. I had a dream once. There I was at the foot of Mount Olympus. Mother was with me as usual. As we reached the crossroads, Agrippina said, Nero, here we turn left. But then I said, no, Mama, we do not. I'm going to turn right. And that's what I did. She shouted after me, become Emperor Nero, though you slay me. The path led up towards the snowy heights, past the lush vernal pastures of the lower slopes, past vineyards and groves of olive trees, through forests of oaks, birches, willows, elms, yews, and poplars, and all other holy trees, past the crags where the chamois chewed stunted grass, and the last brave wind-blasted pine tossed and raged in defiance of the elements. I ascended till there was no other thing under heaven but burning, blinding snow, a conflagration no less fierce than that which now I see. I looked down at the world of men, and what should I see but ants? The air was thin and pure. Then the prize, the summit, appeared from behind a cloud rift. Treacherous thoughts welled up from within me. High climbers play with death, death by freezing, death that lurks in the shadow of a measureless abyss. Was I not trespassing on holy ground? Remember Icarus, remember Prometheus, sighed voices in the wind, but then a louder voice within me bade me fear no counsel fit for the craven. Then to the summit. And what should I see when I reached the Olympian peak other than fierce Jupiter, mighty Zeus? I'll tell you what I saw. There, seated on an ivory throne, a frail old man, whose long white beard fluttered in the wind. His expression was more torpor than aught else. That was it. He looked rather like some doddering old patriarch that was consul before Caesar's time. As I approached, he tried to look grave and austere, pathetically shaking his hoar, senile head. His shaky hand reached down. I saw a quiverful of arrows and a pile of thunderbolts at his side. Now was my chance. I seized him by the scruff of the neck and flung him down the mountainside. The last I saw of him was as he reeled head over heels into a ravine. Then I shouted in triumph to the four winds, "The old god is dead. Now I'm the boss. I got the thunderbolts." Only a dream. Dreams pass, but not what they portend. Nero the god, and what of the others? The divine Julius, the divine Augustus, the divine Claudius. As to Julius, I say, suffering elevates and martyrdom is noble if one is not clever enough to find more comfortable alternatives. Augustus, he was clever all right. He bamboozled the Senate by concealing the true nature of imperial power under archaic titles such as consul, tribune of the people, or any other high-sounding name. He controlled the plebeian mobs by judicious handouts of corn, by the staging of pageants, triumphal processions, carnivals, and games. He provided work for idle hands and assured himself the allegiance of the army by promising share-outs of pillaged goods, blood and glory, and to the veteran farming land and a pension. With time, the Principate no longer required props and adventitious legitimations. Must Caesar, a being divine, justify himself to mortals? His resolutions and decrees to men by claiming this or that precedent or some law passed by the corrupt Senate of a long-defunct republic? Caesar's right lies in Caesar's person or in nothing. If a man kills his fellow out of hatred or whatever personal motive, is he not stigmatized as murderer? Is he not subject to the penalty of death? Is it the act of killing itself that is deemed wrong? No, but a soldier, does he not kill in the pursuit of his duty? Or if a man is suddenly overtaken by an ague or contagion, do we indict Phoebus Apollo and take him to court? Mortals cannot question the sovereign overruling of a god. If a veteran finally takes possession of his long-promised farm, and if a flood come and sweep his habitation, his livelihood, and the fruit of his fields all away, leaving him nothing, will he sue Jupiter Pluvius or Neptune for damages and theft? Let there be no doubt of this. Only a subject is bound by the law. Mortals, even kings, are not above it. But gods? When the plebeians sought to establish a new order, raised their banner of freedom on the Aventine Hill, and proclaimed a new law inscribed on the 12 tablets, from whom did they receive this law, if not from the gods? But gods are not subject to the laws they themselves impose on men. Jupiter chastens the adulterer, but is Jove chaste? He's chased a good few nymphs in his time, that's true. If I am a god, to whom am I answerable for my deeds? But to myself. I am the arbiter of life and death. Morality, then, is for mortals. An all-powerful god has only to inquire within himself, to consult his own counsels, to execute his own will. A god is free. If one being is absolutely free, then all others must be bound. Why then am I assailed by doubts and questionings, by shadows and ghosts? Why am I not yet free? Have I not broken the manacles with which Agrippina, moralists, philosophers, senators, and pedagogues have sought to fetter me? Seneca, my venerable tutor, filled my youthful spirit with notions of logic, reason, equity, and other trash. Seneca, I'll have your Spanish guts for garters soon enough. You'll join the rest of them in Hades, Agrippina, Britannicus, Octavia. Seneca drooled on for hours about the gentle light of reason. Fool! For what good is a candle to a traveller lost in a quagmire on a stormy night? Shall not the tempest extinguish his feeble light, that he with his next step plunged into the loathsome mire, never to rise again? So much for reason's feeble light. Seneca taught me the art of rhetoric. But if you truly wish to know my mind as to morality, philosophy, reason, and tradition, then let tongues more eloquent than mine speak for me, the tongues of flame that far outdo any spectacle put on by aurora or the dying sun. Those flames declare that Nero thinks. Those flames declare what Nero thinks, not only of tradition, but of the past and all it holds, my childhood in the doghouse. Britannicus, still you lower at me with those callow, baleful eyes. Do not question a god's prerogative. Is it so terrible a thing to die? I made it easy on you. No slow, lingering death for you. So potent was the venom in your table water. And then that snivelling little sister Octavia of yours, how I hated her. Complained she wasn't happy with me, did she? I married her, hadn't I? What more could a woman wish for? Or a man, come to that? She wanted to own me. She wanted me to feel an obligation to her. She wanted me to apologize every time I kicked her. That's right. She wanted me to feel guilty, bad inside. Yes, she was Agrippina all over again, dressed up in another guise. They couldn't extract any conclusive evidence to back up my charge of adultery. The torturers these days are losing their technique. What mortal art avails against witchcraft? I could see what was in her heart. What's in the heart counts much more than open deeds. From her face you could read her prurient thoughts every time a comely slave boy came along. My dealings with slave boys is neither here nor there. In any case, I did the world a service in ridding it of those brats, the brood of Messalina, the vixen War, and Claudius, my adoptive sugar daddy. Britannicus, why do you keep looking at me like that? The three of you, why do you haunt me at night and plague me with strange dreams and sensations, as when once I dreamed that a cloud of flying ants swarmed all over me? I tried to escape, but they were in my hair, my nostrils, ears and mouth. I ran from the Tiber's banks over the field of Mars. Then suddenly I saw the portal of the great mausoleum of Augustus loom out of the darkness, and a voice from within beckoned. Enter, Nero, enter. Even as a ghost I could beat her. You are the ringleader. Were you ever a woman made of flesh and bone? Or were you the harpy that drove Orestes to distraction and death? Orestes, my brother indeed. You were the guiding force behind every conspiracy against me. On the anniversary of your death, your spirit is abroad in the forum, in the streets, in the taverns and the bawdy houses, spreading rumours, hatching plots and inciting the common folk to rebellion. Robbing me of my sleep is one thing, sowing the seeds of seduction is quite another. Praetorian guards, I charge that ghost with high treason. Arrest that ghost. Take that ghost away. Why should a god have to worry about that sort of thing? Gods have their troubles too, eh, Dionysus? 4 years ago a comet appeared. That gave me the wind up. This year another's in the sky. Always the portent of the fall of some great figure, the beginning of a new age. In life I've learnt to be wary of three manner of people: philosophers, Gauls, and senators. Philosophers turn men moody and indecisive, sceptical of authority and religion. You can't do without religion, you know, in some form or other. Call it charisma, call it mystique, call it what you will. You got to have religion. Principles, statutes and institutions decay and crumble, and no amount of bronze polishing or propping up saves them in the end. To quote 2 lines from the flowers of my own poetry: each edifice, however grand, but founded is on shifting sand. Hannibal did more to shore up the republic than a legion of philosophers and lawyers. Men aren't moved far by precepts and theoretical abstractions. They want a man like themselves, however hideous or perverse he may appear to the moralists, to be their leader, the one to whom they may look up, to whom they may relinquish personal responsibility. If I didn't exist, moralists and philosophers would have to invent me. In the year that I was born, 26 years ago, Sirius the dog-star did shine exceeding bright. It would be a long, hard winter, the Magi foretold. If Erebus was not my sire, nor the nights my dam, humankind must ponder well, whence truly then I am. People rarely ask questions when they fear unflattering answers. As for the Gauls, while he still had a tongue in his mouth, a madman claiming to be a prophet declared that in Gaul the forces destined to bring about my overthrow would be unleashed. The Gauls are dogs then, not chickens. Was it not the Gauls that set fire to Rome over 4 centuries ago? Far be it from me to pass judgment on that. As for senators, they frown whenever you refuse to kiss them on the head, or anywhere else come to that. I'd sooner kick them up the Alpine than kiss their hands. No, in Neropolis there'll be no room for senators, Gauls, or philosophers. Let's ring the changes. The people will need spectacles, circuses, distractions soon enough. Let preparations be made for festivities, private and public. Restock the cellars with wine. Tell the farmers to fatten their cattle, the slaughterers to whet their knives. The festivities will mark the dawning of the age of Nero. On the Ides of August we'll hold an open-air party. The men shall wear silk, the Julian law will have been abolished. Strumpets and concubines of orts, put on your scarlet robes, deck yourselves in your Gordius. Night shall be as day, I will be needing torches. Noble Caesar, hail! There are reports of unrest in the city. There are murmurings and rumours. Rumours? What rumours? They say the fire was no accident. How perspicacious of them! And who do they say has done this thing, has instigated this lamentable fire? Samo Divine Majesty, sir, of the lower sort, urban riffraff, even senators, have suggested, sir. I don't mean them. Are there no explanations that are a little more original? Indeed, noble Caesar. Some say it's the Jews. Some a band of slaves that uphold the memory of Spartacus, while yet others say it was the Christians. Oh yes, the Christians. That strange Jewish heresy. Interesting. Spread it abroad that it is indeed these Christians who are to blame for this fire. Round them up, they'll make excellent scapegoats. They are to receive the death penalty for sedition and arson. Any special way, O noble and divine Emperor? We shall be needing torches. What do you know of this insidious sect? What do they say? Their leader was one Christus, crucified under Pontius Pilate in Jerusalem back in the days of Tiberius. They claim their leader was the light of the world. We shall be needing torches at our next nocturnal orgy. And the way, Caesar? Dogs. You're a bit slow today, aren't you, Sextus? We shall be needing torches at our next nocturnal orgy. Your will be obeyed, O high and noble Caesar. Oh yes, it's coming back to me now. One of their leaders, Paulus, kept on pestering me with pleas for a hearing. Some say that Seneca is mixed up in it too. This Christus or Crestus claimed to be the Son of God, and he a Jew from Rome's more troublesome colonial backwaters. I'll suffer no competition from that source in the divinity stakes. These Jews, well did Antiochus Epiphanes recognize the rebellious and proud nature of that people, who believed theirs was the only true God, invisible and pure, one that demanded unquestioning obedience to a changeless law. Antiochus, brought up in Rome, well recognized that this people and their religion stood as an obstacle in the way of imperial power. He defiled their holy temple in Jerusalem. What was the story? The temple lamp burned for 8 days, though there was only enough oil for one? Pah! A legend for superstitious minds. Britannicus, don't look at me like that! Oh, Rome. What a beautiful, beautiful sight for my metropolis, so aesthetically pleasing.